Greetings, reader. Hi, we're doing this inside today, which you can obviously tell. Why are we doing it inside? Because it's been a long day, and this is the time that I get to do this, so I'm gonna do it now, inside, where nobody will bother me. Luckily, since we're doing it inside, there's a less likelihood of being attacked by a praying mantis, unlike the last time. So today I want to talk about the story called Monday. Or is it The Monday? It's one of the things. Just like always being the one time I've said this before, but now is an always thing. If you haven't watched the video yet, watch it now before I give you reasons to hate it. Hate it without me, or be interested in it without me. If you don't know where to find it, I will put it up here in the card, or down there in the down there square. So you can choose either way to go. And now come back. Do that, then come back. Now you're back. Hello, welcome back. So we're going to talk about Monday. The Monday. Still not sure what I called it. So like the last one, I have like no critiques on this story. And I know me having said that twice in a row makes it feel like I'm just kind of like, yeah, all my work is perfect, when it's not. It definitely isn't. But for these last two, I particularly like them. I could have framed this better. Foxes. It may sound pretty full of myself, but I'm not trying to be full of myself. I just really liked how this turned out. I think the critiques that I would give it normally would be that the video is obviously very shaky. It's unsteady as I'm walking around. This being the second video I uploaded, which honestly was one of the first videos I shot. And the whole time I was like recording on my phone. I was holding it like right here on my chest as I was walking, following my friend around because I was nervous about recording in public, which I still am, but I'm a little less icky about it. Icky? That didn't make sense, but I'm less icky about it. Thinking about the thumbnail, I gotta hold on. It's not working, guys. There. They're useless, but they're nice. Let's put a little... Okay, well, at least there's that. I did my best. So I think that would be the only thing that I would... the thing that I have the most critique on. Movement. It's probably because it's my second video to go up that I'm oddly very proud of it. Because it's not bad. I even feel like the shakiness of it lends to the story itself. Again, if I'm wrong, tell me. But I guess we can just move into tidbits then. By the way, our AC is off so that I can shoot, so I might just at some points, you know. We're gonna do tidbits, and probably we're not gonna do a question section because nobody asked me questions, but actually plenty of people asked me questions about this 8 months ago when I posted it, and I think a lot of those questions will be answered in the tidbit section. The reason I chose to do an afterword for this story is because I wanted to go back in my backlog to figure out like which stories were worthy of one, and I asked a couple of people what they would want to see, and this is one of the ones that came up, so I'm doing this one. There's actually a lot I have to say about this. I wrote it down. The reason I chose to go ahead and do this one first is because this is one of those stories that I built a world for in my head, but that I'm probably definitely not going to continue writing. Sometimes I'll start something and I'm like, oh, I'm not in a place to give this justice, and right now I'm not in a place to give this justice. I'm not in a place to even know where it's going, so we go nowhere with it. The first line that came to me was, I think, the second line in the story. I printed it out and put it in my book of wonder. I'm sorry if I ASMR'd the tapping too close to the mic. So the first line that came to me when I was writing this, sitting in a coffee shop, because yes, that's where magic happens, was, when I was of age, I chose to be called Monday. There was something about being called Monday and choosing to be called Monday that I just felt was really like it resonated with something. There was a resonation somewhere inside of my head. I should just read the bits. So I'm gonna read the bits that like flesh out the world in what I read and what is on the page, and then explain what I was envisioning for this world that our Monday lives in. When I was of age, I chose to be called Monday. The practice movements of hands presented me my family's book of record. I stared at the mostly blank page that listed my waiting name and my parents' true names. I studied my hand, and just below my mother's flowing script sealed my true identity in its place over who I had been before. The book was closed and taken away to be archived once more in the Hall of Records. And as I left my city-state to begin my gap years, I would discover how my name... So those things. Those are the key factors in this world, in my mind. And in this world, we have city-states, which I'm sure there's an actual definition of what a city-state is, which I will put here. But in my mind, a city-state is the largest area of people folk. And that's where they live. The largest settlement. Oh my gosh, why are words hard? You're a writer. This doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the largest settlements are in these city-states. And there are the equivalent of towns and villages around them. And it's not medieval per se. I think in my mind it's still very much up with kind of the modern technology that we have nowadays, mixed in with less of it. Yeah. See, this is why it's not completely fleshed out in my mind, and I'm not trying to continue to flesh it out, because if I do, then I'm gonna have to write it, and I just don't have the time. I've got projects, guys. I got projects and I don't have time to do this. So let's just say there are many different settlements in this world that make up different countries, and amongst all of them in this world, though I guess see, this is what happens. If I start really talking about how a story is gonna go, then I start to really write it. And we don't have time. I'm not recording this whole thing. You know why? Because it's already 20 minutes, and I bet that when I'm editing this is gonna be at the 3-minute mark, 5-minute mark, maybe 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Okay, actually not that far in. I'm just saying, I gotta be focused. So I can't expound on this in the way that my brain is trying to. So we're gonna say settlements. And so in this world, when people come of age, and I think in my mind, the of age is early to mid-20s. This is not a 15-year-old getting to choose their name. You are of age. You are legally an adult in this world to make your own decisions. And this is the time when you have your ceremony. And I think the thing that I thought was really cool was that it's recognized that the name that your parents give you is called a waiting name. It is a placeholder, because once you are of age, you are an adult, you have been fully formed to the person that you're going to be. The understanding is that you get to choose who you are. And at every point after that, there are no more excuses to be able to point back and say, well, I'm like this because of this. Like, no, it's the moment in time where you, as an adult, recognize that my choices are my own, and I must take responsibility for those choices, and I take the consequences, both good and bad. So that is the premise of what this world is, and the ceremony that they're going into. I'm fleshing out the story. When they leave, they get a sojourner's journal. I want you to know, I had to say that like 75 times, and I still had to cut it up because I kept saying it wrong. Do you know how hard it is to sojourner's journal? Sojourner's journal. They get a journal and they write their own adventures or whatever, and you have gap years. And I think the understanding in our world as we live in it, the world that we live in right now, a gap year is a year that you take between graduating high school, grade school, and possibly going to university, college, whatever you call it, wherever you are. But in this world, it's not limited to a year. And what you do during this time is, again, choices that you are made. Like, society will not stop functioning because you are gone. Like, this is built into how people live and survive in this world. So you leave your parents behind, you leave your friends, you leave your siblings, you leave everything behind, and you go. Though I do guess that some people could stay, and that could be their choice to stay, but that whatever you decide, it is your decision. So there isn't necessarily pressure from family to stay or to go. It is, at this point, you are making every decision in the same way that your parents got to make their own decisions and their parents got to make their own decisions. And it's, I don't know, fun. Gosh, the more I talk about this, the more I might want to do this. No, I don't have time. So another aspect of this world that I realized was really interesting, because when I was writing it, I wrote that Monday's family book of record was put before them. So you have a family book of record, and your mom has one with all of her stuff, and your dad has one with all of his stuff, like the families that they left behind, that they were entered into. And actually, it's more complicated the more I think about it. She has no idea what she's talking about. Book of record. Every family has a book of record that is just those stinnings. These books are large tomes, bound and rebound as necessary, as the line continues through generations. When two people choose to have a family together, their partner's name is not added to their book of records, but their offspring are. Before the choosing ceremony, a person decides which book to record their name in. After the ceremony, the chosen name is added to the other book, though now I'm wondering why they wouldn't just have both books at the ceremony. This is a thing I would change if I was going to continue this, which I'm not. Sojourner's Journal, now called Sojo, because I just can't with the words. It's your captain's log. Write what you want in it. It's generally frowned upon to embellish your gap years, though of course it happens. If you are found out, it is 3 to 6 generations of shame to heap upon your family, and if anyone records anything more than that they were a humble baker or the like, they will be mocked. Once your gap years are complete, you return the journal to the city-state you were born in. After the gap years, most people start a secondary journal that serves as an extensive epilogue for whatever else they feel is worthy to be added to their personal record. This is usually collected after the death of a person and sent to join their sojo in their hall of records. There's a whole system of cross-referencing and record-keeping that still have formed in my mind, but I'm gonna shut up now because I don't have time for all of this. Hopefully that made sense. I'm trying my best, guys. This is 30 minutes. I cannot. Gotta stop. The world itself is so rich, and I sometimes wonder about this character and what these gap years look like and what the rest of this world looks like and how they chose to travel. Are they walking? Are they biking? Are they using a motorbike? Are they getting into a hot air balloon? These are things I'm saying right now that I don't know if this world has these capabilities, and what does it look like to discover your name? Especially the end of it is I would discover how my chosen name, the name that had always been mine even before it burst fully formed from my mouth, defined who I was at my very core. And I know I say this, and you may be asking, how do you not have the answer to this? You wrote it. Are you faking this? Did someone else write it? No, I wrote it, but I tend to write very character-based things. So it's really hard for me to say, this is the plot and the characters need to do what I want them to do to move the plot forward. That's just not how I write. How I write is, this is the character, this is how they react to different situations, and this is kind of what's going on. Let's see what happens. And it tends to happen very much like any D&D you've possibly ever played. I've never played D&D, where the characters just mess your stuff up, where you're just trying your best to tell a story, and the character's like, no to that, which is super duper annoying. I do wonder sometimes what this character could be doing, and I just don't know. I'm just not in a place where I want to follow this character. I'm trying to finish some other projects that I don't need to talk about right now, as this is now officially over 30 minutes long. Gosh, editing this is going to be crap-tastic. I wrote this in a coffee shop, waiting for my friend to hang out with me, because I'm desperate and lonely and need more friends. She's the real homie. I love her. because she agreed to be in this video when we were supposed to be hanging out. The concept for this video, if you're wondering why we were walking around in a bookstore, was the idea of all of these books are someone's sojourner's journal, right? Every book is about a character, maybe not a single character, but is about a person who is going through something, and this is what their gap years look like. It was supposed to be almost like Monday or the bookkeeper going through the Hall of Records and pulling down different sojourner journers, different lives to see what they had lived. What we were actually doing in that video was making a game of it. So basically we went in there and I set a timer and I gave her 3 colors, and she had to see how many books she can get in 5 minutes that had all of those colors on the front or back cover, and needed to have those colors on it. All 3 of them had to be present or she couldn't pull them. And obviously at one point you saw her stack was bigger than her, which isn't very hard to do because she's a tiny human person. But it was fun to be able to go through and just be like, this book and this book and this book, which I think would also be interesting, an interesting theme to be. No, we're not writing this story. Stop it. No more ideas. Stop. Take them, toss them. We don't need them. That was the video concept. I think it turned out pretty well. Like, again, right? Somebody walking through a Hall of Records and collecting these books for research or whatever. I just don't know. See, my brain is trying, like, why would they do that? Why would they want to connect? Is there something happening? Or are they trying to find a specific family that is turning into like No, I say catch the ideas and toss them away. We don't have time for this. 35 minutes. I don't know if I ended on a note that made sense or if this seems very abrupt, but I said all the things I needed to say, and I'd like to eat dinner. Thank you for watching. I hope I answered some of the questions that I had 8 months ago, and if I didn't, I'm sorry. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that felt like something good for us, between us. I hope that you enjoyed that was cathartic for you. The next one that I'm going to do an afterword for is probably the Rambling Girl series. The Rambling Girl series. The Rambling Girl series. The Rambling Girl, the series. It's time to go. If you have questions about that, I'm planning to maybe shoot that sometime early next week if I'm gonna do it. So if you have questions on any of those 3 videos, there's part 1, part 2, part 3. If you haven't seen those ones, see it. And if you have questions on any of them about the video, the people in the video, the music, the story itself, comment in those videos so that I know what questions to answer when I do the afterword. As always, lychee, comic, scribble, whatever you want to do. And I hope to see you later. Warmly, a regular nobody.